It is 6:30. I call this first work session for the year 2016 to order. All the council members are present. First thing on the agenda is review the regular business. You all had a chance to read the agenda. Is there anything on the regular business agenda that you'd like to discuss before I go into the work session?
I would, the agreement with Patterson being small, I was curious on so what's the difference between that and the old, basically model, or the old, I guess, plan that's been done? I guess these are more micro plans, is basically what I got out of it. But is it really worth doing it? If it's, I look at the other plans and it doesn't really seem that we used much from it. From the old model.
Just like Tom.
And I was curious to see these new markets, because really when the developers come in, I think they're going to be fronting a lot of what, I guess, the best place to put the water retention, best place for traffic, for their, I guess, advertising and all that stuff. I'm wondering if you really, it's necessary to do another one of these, I guess, plans.
I'll turn it over to the city manager to let him give you his opinion of that. I had some of the same questions, Roger, so I'm you convinced me. Let's see how he does it.
Roger, I was reading the Clark Patterson proposal.
Yes, that's what I was
Since we received the town center plan several years ago, the overall town center plan, it definitely is a broad brush approach. We were talking about that a little bit today when we were talking about the uniform development ordinance, unified development ordinance. Since that point in time, there have been probably, I guess, discussions with 5 or 6 different groups about their interest in developing in the town center, be it commercial, housing, different areas. And those discussions continue to take place, and what this proposal from Clark Patterson will do, and Rich Edinger from CPL is here, we went to them because they were the ones who developed the original town center plan. But what this proposal will do will include and coordinate with all of those conversations, and we divided the town center up into 4 smaller areas. And basically it's going to be land planning from a development standpoint, from a transportation standpoint, from a engineering, stormwater standpoint, where we can actually go from conversations and talk to what we can actually do on the ground. You know, what the town center, instead of this pretty picture that is a proposal of what could happen, this narrows it down to what are we going to do? You know, what can we do with these various interested folks and developers that we've talked to? It's the plan that we have, there's no doubt you needed something like that. You needed an overall plan. You needed to have the community discussion that talked about what you wanted, what the community wanted in a town center. But you didn't know at that time who was going to come after. You know, we went into a terrible economic downturn. Folks, you know, there was no money out there to do anything. People were losing businesses instead of building. And so, but now as the economy has gotten better and the council has become unified, and people realize, well, there may be an opportunity there since you guys talk to each other and are willing to talk to them, and they can have confidence that we're going to carry through on something. It's time to look at that plan and drill down to what's really possible. What can we do on the ground? And because you can't do the larger plan, we couldn't budget for anything. You couldn't take that and have any idea how much things are going to cost. You know, we've talked about roadway options, we've talked about stormwater management, we've talked about these things. We need to put a budget figure on it. And whoever is interested in investing, we need to put there's gonna be a lot of public-private discussion, public-private partnership discussion. And unless we get down to a finer detail, we could never get to that end.
And these 4 areas, are these the city-owned properties, or is this public and private property?
It's the entire town center.
So the entire, so
It is.
And then,
And Rich, do you want to, where do you think? Do you want to talk a little, which we'll give you a little more information.
Okay, sure. Yeah, Butch is exactly right. You know, you've done a town center master plan, which was a very public process. You had a lot of public input on it. The community really came out with a vision. Now you want to figure out how can we maintain that vision and yet get investors interested in projects that they're willing to invest in, you know, on the ground. But you guys want to still maintain your vision that you had in the master plan. So what we're proposing is 4, you know, small area plans where we will look at the town center master plan, and then we'll also meet with you know, the interested investors, find out what are their issues, what are they trying to accomplish, and we'll try to come up with some more detailed level plan than the master plan. We've done this at least a couple of other times with some other clients of ours, city clients. I brought some examples actually. If I can spread this out. I'll start with one on the bottom here. This is Doraville, actually, and the MARTA line is here. The GM redevelopment is over here. Interstate 285 is right here, and their city hall, their current city hall, sits right here. They had us look at, and that they own a good deal of the land that is in these 4 blocks or so. And they had us look at how can we realize the vision that some of the planning documents that we already have. You know, what do we need to do? What do we need to? These are 6-story buildings. So one of the questions was, you know, what do we need to do to park people? If these are 6-story buildings, how is that all going to work? And so we're showing some parking decks in the middle, and then the buildings wrapped around them. So you're not looking at parking decks, you're looking at buildings and whatnot. We've gone through, if you look on this side, you'll see we've kind of gone through and detailed the space that each block is talking about putting into place.
Yeah, I looked at the website and I saw different models that you've done before, and I get the plan, I guess the theories behind it. With Doraville though, is they own a lot of property, and some of those areas are rougher, so I can see developers coming in and buying out certain spots. But with Snellville, a lot of it's already been developed, so really it will be redevelopment with a lot of these downtown center area. So I'm concerned that possibly with the plan we'll have all these nice ideas and visions in it, but it won't really matter because the developers don't want to put the money, or the property owners don't want to put money into that area.
Right,
so
and that's
only we look at basically the public-private owned lots.
Right, and that's why you want to talk with, if you have interested parties, which my understanding is that you guys do, you want to talk with those people, find out what are the issues that you see. You know, here's our town center master plan. We're looking for this vision we're trying to realize this vision in this particular area. Okay, what are the stumbling blocks? You know, if we're talking to the investor who wants to come in and develop a site, what are the stumbling blocks that are keeping you from investing? And let's identify those and try to come up with a more specific plan continues to realize the vision of the town center master plan, but also takes their issues into consideration. So it's that level sort of planning at this point.
And it's also too, to help us be able to identify, what's on the ground now that's not gonna be able to change for a while. And what's on the ground now that either property owners or, that have made some inquiries that maybe they're willing to do something to reinvest, or the city-owned property. We've got several ideas, the pop-up markets or public market. We've talked about potentially bringing the library downtown. Well, we do have property that the city owns, but it's really, for me, it would allow us to look at the areas that we do have available, or ones that wouldn't be really expensive to potentially buy or invest in, and where's the best place to put those pieces, and how would those pieces look if we put them there, and how would they work, rather than us just haphazardly just going, okay, well, here's our property, let's put this here, and then all of a sudden 6 years down the road, we come back and say, oh, I wish we hadn't built that there. That it would work better with the other communities around if we had done something a little bit differently. So it gives us an opportunity to see what could change and redevelop in a shorter period of time, with the interested parties, versus what we know we've got to work around. It's like the vision that we have now, that shows an entertainment and arts, area at the Wisteria Square Shopping Center. Well, we know that's not changing for a while. They got new tenants in there with new leases. It's not likely that that's just gonna suddenly redevelop. So knowing that we've got to work around that, what's the best way to do it? And then we've also, that plan also showed like the old Snellville Oaks Shopping Center as being completely all gridded out with blocks and residential development. Well, it turns out that on that back part of that property, there's a huge retention pond that's natural already there. So does that make sense to do it like the concept plan was and mow everything down and figure out another place to put that? Or does it make sense to, rework that plan a little bit to keep that in place?
Wouldn't we know how the businesses already feel through the economic developer in the city?
Can you repeat that?
Wouldn't we already know how the businesses feel about redevelopment based on the relationships between the economic developer and the businesses?
No, of course not. They keep that stuff pretty close to their vest. And again, you're talking about developers coming in here where, for instance, and this is just hypothetical, let's say the Wisteria Shopping Center, and it's, guy wants $15 million for it. We sit in the city, so go, that's never going to change. And some guy comes in with a plan and says, I'll put 7 stories. I'm not saying this is happening now, everybody, it's just hypothetical. If I could put 7 stories in there, for residents on 6 stories, I could pay the $15 million and still make it work. We don't know that, the Walmart, the old Walmart, good. That we don't know how that's going to go. That's kind of in the air right now. And I'm convinced that if we go ahead and do this, we're spending a minimal amount that we can spend to get the most results we can get for the amount of money. I think it's the next step. I think that the town center is going to move faster than we anticipated. Just from the conversations, the phone calls I'm getting, the conversations I'm having, I really think there's a lot of interest. And I think we better, unlike in 2000 when we didn't have a plan when they came knocking, this time I think we need to have a plan. And we need to have as much information as we can have in our pocket to help us.
Here's what we want here, as opposed to somebody coming in and say, I want to put in a flower shop and a tire store here.
A very good example. The DDA had someone come in here a month ago talking about putting residential housing for people 55 and over on Wisteria. That's not happening. You know what I mean? But we know that. We know that's not happening, okay? But still, there's interest. So maybe that over 55 livable group moves a little bit further out, but still stays inside the city and still does a project for us. Well, if we know that, and we have a plan, we got something to work with.
It really gets down kind of to control. You have a chance to control your vision, the application of your vision. And it just has to be done in a little finer detail than what we have now.
Well, there's always been a saying, nobody's gonna invest in you if you don't invest in yourself. And to me, this is just an investment in us. It's a minimal, it's a skin in the game thing, it's a commitment of being serious. We're not just, spending something willy-nilly. We wanna see a result out of this. So the idea that we're taking what we currently have and making it better, I mean, I think it's a good thing.
Make it
But
more fun.
I think we're investing in ourselves. And that's the thing I want us to remember through this whole process. Whatever we do, we're investing in our city. That's what we're doing.
Just gotta make sure we make smart investments.
Exactly, just like you would at home.
Which we do, right?
If you invest in Comcast, I'm sorry. Nobody's for Comcast.
Well,
But those are good I mean, you need to have that foundation, and those are good questions.
We need to know what all those stuff.
Is there anything else, on the meeting agenda? Public hearing agenda that needs to be discussed?
I have some questions on the senior center group. You guys, you want,
Go ahead, I don't know what questions to ask because there's too many balls in the air.
Okay. I guess, Lisa, since you're here, tag you're it. Have we always had group fees? Okay. How are these set up based on what we had? What's the difference?
Previously, it was a flat rate fee.
Okay. A
Still
flat rate
based
fee
on-
as in,
As, I'll use there were still broken down to the number of members within that group. So we'll take the smallest group.
okay,
So, for instance, previously, that first group under 25 members was $125 flat fee. That gave them 2 meeting times per month that they chose.
okay,
And then, so all of the groups, no matter what and then the fee went up based on the number of members.
okay,
I don't remember off the top of my head what each of them were.
okay.
Then, but all of them were the same. They got 2 meeting times per month that they chose. Not all groups necessarily use 2 meeting times a month, especially the smaller groups. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they use 1, sometimes the bigger groups like to have more than 1, or
Okay.
more than 2, I'm sorry. So the staff at the senior center really was trying to look into what the members actually, the group members actually needed and wanted and how it would be equally distributed.
Mhm.
Breaking it down to a per visit fee seemed to make sense both for the smaller groups and for the bigger groups. So what they did was they broke down the original fee previously into what that came out per visit. We haven't had an increase in about 10 years, and what it ended up being, this new fee is about $1 increase per visit for each group. It doesn't mean every group is gonna see an increase, because the one group and under 25 may go to just 1 visit per month, which means their fee will actually end up going down. A bigger group may want an extra meeting time, so theirs may go up.
Okay, which, my next question, based on group volume and then individual, which side of that do we collect the most money on? Individual memberships or group memberships? Would it
Which are,
be-
these are 2 different things.
Right, and right,
Okay.
so we're not changing anything on the individual.
Correct.
Okay, so if we collected, just for round numbers, 80% of the fees that you collect come from individuals and 20% come from groups. Do we know what that number is? Is it 90-10, is it?
Butch, I didn't make a copy of that email. Do you have that?
It's about 80-20.
Okay,
We aren't talking about big numbers.
okay.
Yeah.
It looks like one group on your first line is asked to select a meeting time of either 9 to 1 or 12 to 4. So it looks like you can only have one group meet per day, is what it looks like.
Well, we have breakout rooms, we have upstairs and downstairs depending on the size of the group and.
Okay, so that's not in the same, okay, because the times were, if you had one area that they rented, the times would overlap and you could only pick one,
Right.
but you got different areas,
Correct,
okay.
correct.
Do we do it based on members or attendees? And do we just believe if they tell us they've got 49 members? Or how do we verify that?
They sign in every time there's a meeting.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question. I'm not sure I was answering the question, I'm sorry.
Okay. If a group says they've got 25 members and 29 people show up for a meeting, why are we charging 25? And how do we track that?
Well, we track it because they do sign in. So once we see that would happen, then we would go back to them and say, you are actually a bigger group than what you said, and here's the difference. So everybody signs in and signs out,
Okay, so we
whether
do
you're an
have a wait.
individual or you're a group.
And that was the question. And Butch, really a question for you. Have we got confirmation on the use of the senior center and everything based on,
Yeah, it's,
are we out of the control of the
It's
loans? So we can kind of do a lot of different things, consider a lot of different things now,
yes, sir.
right? Okay, good. Thank you, Lisa.
Anything else on the public hearing agenda that you'd like to discuss before we go on to the work agenda?
No, that got all my questions on this one.
Okay.
They get your,
That's where I was.
Okay, you all been handed your matrix, okay? We're gonna ask us all tonight as we go through this, that we do a little homework. We're gonna go through this as quickly as we can because we've got, as you see, there's 40 items on here. Now, what I'd like each one of you to do as we go through it, I want you to number each item with the number of 1 through 4. Now let me explain to you how the number is gonna go. Number 1 is something, yes, we want it done immediate, should be done in 6 months. Okay? Number 2 is something that we're working on that we know is gonna be a year. Number 3 is ongoing. Number 4 is the next most important number to 1. 4 is, yes, we need to start this immediately, but it's not something that has an end to it. An example of that would be, we need to patrol my subdivision more often. Okay, we need to start that, because let's say there's a crime, we need to start it, but that's not something we're gonna end in 6 months or 2 years. It's something that is gonna it's gonna continue on into the future. Okay, so,
So your numbering is not really priority, it's.
1, 2, and 3 are priority. But also, they're a little bit,
It's also-
I put the time on it, maybe we should just do it with priority.
Priority, I think.
Okay,
first,
and then the
we come
4th
back
one,
on time.
number 4 would be something that's ongoing that we know is not gonna be, it doesn't have an end point, or it's not something that's gonna be done immediately. Okay, does that make sense? I just wanna make sure we all know how we're grading it, so we do it. Then we're gonna give them all to Melissa will all, and then from going on from the next meeting on, these all be prioritized. So we'll be talking about the most important things, you know, and then getting down to the lower number as time permits. But the stuff that we want will be on the top of the agenda every 2 weeks. Does that work? And that way, rather than us putting all new stuff on there and continuing it all, it'll always be here. This will more or less be your work session agenda. You know, the items on here.
so as we go through these, we're gonna kind of come to a consensus of
We're
what we
gonna,
need
each one of us will number them, then Melissa will compile all the numbers. You might think it's a 2, I might think it's a 1, whatever. Whatever those numbers come out, that's the way it'll be prioritized.
Do you think we could do it as a
We
consensus?
can, if we have enough time, we
If
can
we do it
try.
as a consensus, we
Let's
spend
do
a
it.
lot of time doing
Okay,
that, right?
that's fine with me.
Is that okay with you?
I don't know, I just don't know. It depends on how much conversation we get involved into, whether it's a 1 or 2, or,
Well, and I think
we go
we
to a half hour in each one, we
If
can't
we
get it done.
recognize real quick that that's
Really,
gonna be
really.
something, we just need to say,
Okay.
you know, pass and move on.
Well,
or whatever.
okay,
I'm
let's,
just thinking,
let's
the
get
most
started.
consensus we can get in the room tonight,
Great.
the better off.
I'm all for it. Okay, the first one, Town Center Working Plan, I think that's what one of the major. Okay, Town Center meeting with county officials, that's happening, that's what one, that's happening on Friday. I'm having that meeting on Friday. Town Center Public Relations, what number?
1.
I think everything with Town Center's a 1, personally, and we'll set up meetings on that. Unified Development Ordinance. Now, see, this is not necessarily a 1 because this one's going on, it's ongoing, we're doing it.
And
We
we-
really need
But
to,
haven't we started that?
yeah, we
So
have.
that would be a
started.
4 in the,
Right,
in
right.
the
There you
realm
go.
of what
There
we're
you go,
doing, right?
perfect, perfect.
And these numbers, they can change over time.
They can,
Because
they
as you
absolutely
get in
will.
the process, this is gonna be probably a 15, 16-month process. So the closer you get, it's gonna become a 1.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the Snellville Citizens Academy. Barbara Bender.
That's a 1, isn't it, Barbara?
I'm still trying to figure out how my name got there, but
Ongoing.
I still got an awful lot of dishes to wash, so I'm not sure I'm gonna do this in right now.
Well, just look at the comments there.
So it's a three.
I said, have an agenda and topics approved in February, the first class in September.
Yeah, I would
So that would be a 2. I would
2 or
think.
3, yeah.
3.
3? Is that what everybody's saying, 3?
I
Okay,
think
3.
priority wise, it's probably a 3.
Okay. Charter Review Committee?
Ongoing.
I think that's
Gotta be a 1.
I think that's really gotta be a 1.
It's a 1.
1 or a 2.
It's
Well, I would
it's
say-
either-
I would
it's
say
either a
this.
1 or a 4.
Yeah.
We haven't put, we
Because
haven't.
I would say this is not a problem for this council right now. But 2 years from now, it could be a problem, so it certainly has to be cleared up in that amount of time, correct? But it's not necessarily something that has to be cleared up in 6 months.
Well, I would say that's a 4 then, because I think we need to start the process, because we've got some dates to hit, such as we've got to take a document set up to be in November of 16 for approval from the legislature in 17.
Okay.
We're gonna do that, so we either need to make it a 2 or a 3.
Okay, what's your thoughts on it, Coach? You're gonna say something?
I think the 4, but it becomes, it's gonna move up also, just like the UDF.
Yeah, well, see, to be 4, I mean, obviously it's something that needs to be done, but almost, I guess I'm just stuck in my mind that a 4 is kind of relegating it to,
Not really.
it's not very
Now,
important.
you're just doing that because of the numerical number.
Yeah.
4 is a 1B, really.
Yeah, it really is,
Yeah.
yeah. 4, 3.
4.
City 10. 7? Oh, wait a minute, I didn't go that far, did I?
Barbara might just
Every time I've asked, there is a tent, so I don't know where they come from, but we have a tent, and we have a nice tablecloth, so I'm set, but if we need a specific.
Oh, okay, you're talking about for the events, okay? I
Yes.
thought maybe you were just buying a city tent.
This list,
No, it's not like I'm going camping anywhere, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I prefer
this
something
list
with a built-in
came from
bathroom.
what y'all submitted,
Yeah.
plus everything that was brought up at the retreat.
I
So
just
it's
did-
comprehensive, if
You know
there's
what,
too much
though,
on
you
here.
know what though, a city tent then, in that respect, what we discussed wasn't actually like buying a tent, like to tailgate with. It
It's
was,
part of the public
it was
relationship.
part of having
Yeah.
a tent at
Marketing.
every event.
Right.
It
And
was-
if we have one that says Snellville on, that'd be great, but it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's.
No,
It's
it
more
will
the
say
one of
physical
those-
presence,
Snellville.
it's more the
I need a
presence
number.
of having the city there. That's a 3.
Public relations, broadcast and video,
1.
1. Anybody else?
Ready by Snellville days.
Yeah, I tie it to the town center as it progresses,
What's that?
the broadcasting.
Not necessarily, that's the whole city, that's not just the town center. That's
Oh,
everything,
that's the
that's
whole
Parks
city,
and
is
Rec,
that-
that's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we want brochures ready by
Well,
Snellville.
By
that's-
Snellville
that's-
days.
That's what I
It's
put
gotta
in.
be a
We
1.
will, yeah, we will, but again, that's why we leave it as a 1.
Yeah.
Quarterly town hall meetings,
3.
2.
I think a 2 also. I think that's, I just think those are good,
Dwayne
and that's
days.
not a lot of work.
I'd go with 2 or 3, so we're at 2.5.
2.5.
Let me just give you some advice on that. Can you please have an agenda
Oh, of course.
and have topics rather
Yeah.
than,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
This is Diane Krause's initiative, it's not quite complete. How far are we on that? How much more?
We talked to Tony a little while ago about developing an IGA with the city of Lawrenceville. That's why I put April of 16 document ready for mayor and council.
So that needs to be a 1 then.
1 or 2,
Well, 1 falls in the 6
6
months.
months, yeah.
Guide assistance,
You know, to me, that's the 3. It's always gonna be ongoing, and Attorney Ross was kind enough, he did some research for us, along with Tony, and approved, I guess, the issuance of the guide documents that we brought back from the retreat. So we just need to make that happen, and then continue our relationship with Guide in whatever capacity that we're currently doing, right? So I would say a 3.
okay, top of page 2, city asset maintenance. To me, that's 4, that's an ongoing.
Yeah, that's 4, that's ongoing, we're
I'm
gonna
just looking
continue
at
to do.
date though.
City compensation survey, where are we with that?
Question, real quick. Butch, you listed this as city compensation survey. I sent you my list as PD compensation. Are we doing it as a whole, or are we?
Yeah,
gonna
we've
try to
done
do-
it as a whole. And I'm updating it now based on some,
Well, I had
the
one
latest.
short meeting with the chief regarding this, and we'll have a couple of others in the next month.
Can you share that information with the rest of the council?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're fine tuning that right now to give you the best thing we can give you. All the questions I think that everybody will have. So,
And you got the special work session for
Yes.
221, will that be during this time or a little bit earlier, or?
I,
mean, what do you
I just
think?
need,
Or
we
second?
probably need a couple hours,
Okay.
so if we could get here earlier and start.
so we're all calling that a one, correct?
Well, if it's that close, we are. Probation services RFQ, that's ongoing, that's a
It will be out this
Yeah.
week.
tree replacement at DDR Shopping Center.
So probation services was a four, did I get that right? It was a one?
RFQ's going out. Tree replacement at DDR Shopping Center. I guess that's a one, but it's more like a two because it's in negotiations, not something we have control over until the negotiations are a little bit farther along, am I right?
Well, Jason and I will work on, we heard from the arborist, we'll work on that letter. We'll share it with Tony and y'all and hopefully get it out this week.
Should call that a
But it's
two.
gonna be
It's gonna
ongoing.
a little while.
Yeah.
So we'll call it a two?
No more than a two.
Okay. This is the star one, annexation of the shops.
I was gonna say zero, just before one.
It's a star
But
one,
it's gonna be a four.
asterisk one. Website update. That's something else that's dragged, we need to get that going.
That should be, we're in the works with it, so it should be.
One or a two.
One or two.
Two?
Okay.
Put a two down, we can vote.
All right.
Yeah.
Sign ordinance update, right of way signs and penalties.
Two.
Yeah, that's not a one to me.
That'll be in the UDO too.
Okay, so we just, let's put that as a three then.
Three.
Okay, investigation possibilities for Baker's Rock.
Four.
Four.
That's gonna be ongoing.
Well, let's put it as a three. I mean, there needs to be an end date.
Well, we don't know what's available. Let's put it as a four and we'll.
Let's just, before we go any further, Lisa did this. Lisa, what are our options on that, without spending money? Are there?
Well, you just limited things.
No, I mean, there's no effort without spending money, right? Is anybody at the table here, if you have your choice to spend the money in a town center or Baker's Rock, want to put Baker's Rock in front? I think that answers our question on that then.
Well, no, but I think we need
Why
to be
can't
talking
we-
about some,
you're
we should be
saying we can
looking at
do
things.
nothing.
We're not saying we're gonna put money into it
Correct.
in the next year
Not
or
without money.
two.
Well, it made the
But we need
list.
to be talking about
Because-
what could be done, or we need to look at what
It's
else
not-
we could do.
Okay.
Prepped for anything that we might be able to use it for, and there's
Nobody
restrictions on the rock
buys
itself.
up.
Oh, I understand that, but can we get a grant? Can we look into getting a grant or something? I don't know what the
Let's
restrictions
put a
are.
three.
It just seems dumb to have the thing sit there and say, oh, we bought it, and we can't do anything. We gotta be able to do something with it.
New one bought brick.
We have joint
I agree,
ownership,
I agree.
and those folks are
I
not,
don't comprehend.
Who's the joint ownership with?
trust.
That's the only reason we spend what we spend.
Okay, revision solid waste ordinance, that's gonna happen in June, so, that's something that's being worked on now for that.
Is that like a two?
It's gonna be after June, right, when we do this. Sale of the old police station. That's just a matter of us doing the paperwork and turn it over to URA, I think that's a one.
On that subject, Mayor, I've got some formatted documents that, these aren't finished, but they're probably 85%. It's just the format that we set up when you got your own entity and you're doing business with. It's got a restriction on the sale of the property that gears it to being restricted, so council gets ultimate approval of the process. So you can see, those are just the documents we use to set it up. Mainly being the intergovernmental agreement between you and the URA.
So I ask you to look at these, if you have any questions, let's get them answered, and hopefully we will have something on that at our next meeting. So that's gonna be a 1 on our list, I guess.
Okay, it's
Right?
gonna be a 1, but don't we have some questions about how much of it we want to, because we've got it.
When we get the survey and stuff, we can do that, but we can still keep everything we got on our end moving. Okay, senior center and community usage.
2,
Yeah, I think it'll be
that's
ongoing,
a year long.
but it'll definitely be on the radar.
Okay. By the way, I was talking with Chris today, so everyone's aware. Last meeting, when I did the assignments, I did not do art council. I omitted it by mistake. So I've talked with Christie. So Roger's got Parks and Rec. Christie's going to take Arts Council, and then the two of them together will work on the senior center. Because I know you've already got, both of you already have time invested in that. So that way we just pick up Arts Center, and Christie's agreed to take that. Okay,
No money.
parliamentary procedures seminars 1. That's all set.
16th of March.
Right, March
We're working
16th.
with Dennis on an agenda, and we'll get the word out.
Right.
Do you know what time? Is that gonna be like the morning? Is that
It was 8 to
Saturday?
12 last time, so it's a Saturday morning. It'd be a 1.
We good there?
Get it out of
King Day celebration, of course, don't put a number on it, because by the time we come back, it'll be gone. But to give you, what I would ask, Matt, would you make sure you put that, could you put that Martin Luther King banner at the top of the citizens page for a week till,
It's there.
I'm sorry?
I think I did that.
Oh, is it? Okay, I saw it happened to you with the last one. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. The rest of you, we only have a week on the Martin Luther King thing, so those of you in the room, if you have a Facebook page, if you could please share it, or put it up at the top of your banner, and let's get the word out about it. The speaker, and there's a press release that went out today, you can go to our Snellville.org page and see it. The speaker is Dr. Tommy Smith. Those of you that may not know, in 1968 Mexico City, Tommy Smith was the 200-meter sprinter gold medalist at a world record. When he got on the stand, he raised his fist wrapped in a black glove and became the symbol for the black, for the civil rights movement in the late 60s. He will be at City Hall here. He'll be speaking out here at 10 o'clock when the program starts that morning. Then we'll be marching over to the Southwood High School. So if you please would put that out so we get as many people here as we can, I'd appreciate it. I'm gonna
Oh, this is one of the
mention
2 Olympics, or Olympians that's gonna be speaking?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Matt's already got it on the citizens page, so it's already there.
Great, thank you, Max.
And also, don't forget, we have a challenge going on, so we need food and we need money
Right,
for the Southeast Gwinnett Coalition.
right, we need to Southeast Quick
Put that on
we
your
collect the
Facebook
money
page.
that day and make sure we tie it to that, to the collecting money that, collecting cans that day. The senior center fees, I guess we covered that. That's gonna be done deal tonight, right? So we don't have, that can be eliminated.
The next item eliminate, because Roger and I doubled it up.
Okay.
We already,
Youth commission,
that's a 1.
that's a 1. That's an absolute 1.
And the last one is a 3.
And what about the one, the planning recruiting of advisory board? Can we use
That's
that?
a-
You
that's
know
a
what,
continuation.
Oh, I see,
that-
okay.
That goes with youth
Yeah, that's-
commission.
I was gonna say that's a
Okay,
continuation.
good.
I was
All right, well, we
just
got
trying to
through
see
it.
more space.
So next time we see it, we're going to, when we sit down on the 25th, we'll go through these as they are prioritized. And we'll get our updates on them 5 months. Yeah. 5 months? Yeah, 5 months, okay?
Or twice a month.
Or twice as much, whichever comes first. Okay, that's all we have on the discussion items. Do we have an exec session? No exec session. Is there anything else that council would like to discuss? Anything that we've gone over that you'd like to discuss in more detail? We've got 20 minutes if you have anything. You just commit, then. So we're good?
We're good.
Okay, I can motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second. All in favor? Aye.
I'm in opposition.
You're in opposition, we have 5 to 1. All right, we'll see y'all in 15 minutes in the council chamber. Thank you very much, gentlemen.